And I can hear you have a TV.
Hey, everybody. We are live right now. So we're going to do some checking on sound. And I did hear your question, Mona. So I will give a check on that. And so tonight, we've got a really, really good show for you tonight. Mona's back. Yay. She deserted me last week, as you know, but our good friend, um, ooh, I just had a blank.
Rodney.
Yeah, Rodney Jones stepped in, and it was just a really great time. We spoke about reparations then, but tonight we're talking about power. Y'all, we're going to talk about power. Who gets to shape the story and who gets protected by silence. From the Roland Martin Charlamagne clash, if you haven't heard about that, we're going to talk about that tonight, to a local shooting. For those who aren't aware, there was a local shooting where the community still, Black community, we still don't really have answers. So we're gonna go there tonight. So stay with us and just look for a great show, and hopefully you guys participate. Countdown.
To the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Wow. Welcome back to We Are Black Independent. And I'm Mona.
And I'm Jeannette.
Jeannette, today we're going to have a powerful show for our guests, because both of the topics we're dealing with come down to one thing, I believe. Who gets to control the narrative? Who gets listened to? Who gets protected? And who gets exposed?
Absolutely. So first we're diving into the situation between Roland Martin and Charlamagne the God, not in a petty gossip way, but from a community perspective, because both men influence our people, but in very different lanes.
Yes. Okay, and then we're going to shift to a heavy and very local topic. This happened last Friday, a shooting here in our community in Tampa, Florida. A man is dead, and coming up almost a week have passed. The police know who the shooter is, but the name haven't been released, and people are asking why.
Yeah, that is the question. So let's get into it.
All right, let's start right here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last week, Roland Martin and Charlamagne the God. I'll say it again. Roland might be correct in some of what he is saying. He's been doing politics, media for decades. I can remember I used to love Roland Martin. He was one of my go-to guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has, of course, built a impressive resume.
Yeah, he has.
Yes.
So, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's the only one who gets to speak. And we have a video. Do you want to play the video?
Sure.
Okay, so give me a minute to be the navigator here. We have a video. You know what? Yeah, here we go.
Graduate of Jack Yates High School, Magnet School of Communications in Houston, Texas. And I chose to go there when I was 14 years old. And I wrote columns for our school paper. So I've had people responding to things that I have said that they disagree with since I was 17 years old. I go to Texas A&M. I remember one day I came home and my brother said, "Man, what you do?" I said, "What you talking about?" Our answering machine was filled with all these vile messages from Aggies who were mad because of a column that I wrote in the school paper, The Battalion, chastising and lambasting the Texas Aggie band for playing Dixie at halftime. When I interned and worked at the Bryan College Station Eagle, I wrote opinion pieces. Didn't make some folks happy. I remember when I worked at the Houston Defender in 1990, and I wrote an editorial criticizing the United Negro College Fund's campaign commercials, and William Gray, former congressman, my alpha brother. Matter of fact, I think he was in Congress. He was in Congress, but he used to. Well, maybe he headed the UNCF. I can't remember. Anyway, writes a letter mad with what I wrote. For 10 years, I served as a nationally syndicated columnist for Creator Syndicate. And so I've had pieces run all across the world. So don't think for a second that I'm not used to people taking exception to something that I say or that I write. Today on The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne took exception to a segment we did last week where two panelists said that he provides misinformation. And so he made a whole bunch of comments, some personal attacks. And let me be real clear. I don't give a damn what you say about my weight. I don't give a damn what you say about my neck. I don't give a damn what you say about my hairline. I don't give a damn about none of that. And the reason I don't give a damn about none of that, because none of that shit matters. See, I am speaking to and addressing and confronting larger issues at play that have a profound and significant impact on our community. And see, I'm absolutely unbothered if someone says, "Oh, you're a Democrat shield, and you doing this, that, and the other for the Democrats." No, because see, I'm real clear.
To start a podcast with Riverside, all you need is a concept and a way to record it. Here's how it works. First, go to riverside.fm and open an account, and then you'll be able to...
But I'm sure we've all probably... Did you see the video?
I did. I
Okay.
did see the video.
And here's the thing with him, and with most people like him. Even I can remember Joy Reid when they was really in their prime at the big media studios. You know, when they were at the top, right?
Yeah.
They will always criticize the YouTubers. Someone on like Charlamagne, I think he's on iHeartRadio, or even Sirius XM, because those people wasn't as, I would say, educated or, in his opinion, as informed. And I have a problem with it, right?
Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is that he's got all of these bona fides, starting when he was younger, and of course working through college, because he talks a lot about that. That he's the qualified one, and Charlamagne is not.
The only one. Yes. And you know, so I also want to remind Roland likes to celebrate being in the big league. That is, and everybody else is beneath him, and he should stay in his lane and only talk about culture stuff, right? Not political stuff.
Mhm.
But we have to remember he didn't stay spotless, did he? Because he say he's not running or for the Democratic Party, but he is, because you remember what happened with Hillary Clinton when
Mhm.
he gave her the answers to the debate, which he shouldn't have done, and when he got suspended back in 2012 over
Mm.
tweets.
It was 2012, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 2012 over tweets that he did. So he's had some a lot of misfortunes as well with mainstream. So he ended up starting his own media, and which everybody support. I think
Yeah.
I love the fact that he did that. I've always supported, but sometimes he could be quite cocky, because you can't tell. I can remember when he was going after another YouTuber, and he kept calling this woman name to make me look her up.
Mhm.
Dillard. Have,
Mhm.
have you heard her?
What's her
She's
name?
called Vicky Dillard.
No, I do not know who that is.
Okay, so you got to write that down and look at it. She is hard to listen to. She is over the top. She's very. I let people be people who they are, right?
Right.
She has a persona about herself. She has a gravel. I mean, it is loud. You have to, and I listen to stuff
All
loud.
right. I can't believe I've not heard of her.
Right. Yeah. And she's been around for a long, long time. And she he is always calling her all kind of names. She's roasting him all the time, and
Mhm.
he is roasting her. And I'm like, okay, so it just made me really go to her page and look her up.
Mhm.
But the same thing with Joy Reid.
Yeah.
I don't like to see the infighting, because I think we all have lanes, and everybody have their potential audience, because those people who Charlamagne speak to, I didn't even know who Charlamagne was till something happened. I can't even remember, but my daughter wanted me to look at an episode, and I says, God, why are they calling him Charlamagne the God? Did he think he's the God? And it was just, and the chair and everything. But I happen to like him, and it's a book here. We have a book here.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about my dear friend Charlemagne the God. And he sort of rose to fame after he interviewed maybe it was I know he interviewed Hillary Clinton in her day, but he also interviewed Biden, and Biden said, if you're not voting for me, you ain't black, or something like that, and that became his entry into mainstream um, discussions, even from a
But
podcast.
we have to ask ourselves, why do these people want to go there? Where, and I know it frustrates Roland, because they won't come on his show,
They don't feel like they need to.
right?
Amen.
Because he knows,
Charlemagne God
because
is.
because the Democratic Party and the leadership realize that the people Roland Martin talked to, he's already going to get his group to go vote for the Democratic Party, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a shield for him.
Yeah.
Now, they have to be able to get these people who might not listen to traditional um, news,
Yeah.
and that's why they go there. And it's such a softball interview, because when Hillary came on and she pulls out this hot sauce. Now, you and I both know
Sauce
that
Gate.
this woman is not walking around with goddamn hot sauce in her purse.
You
It was
never
an
know. You
insult.
never know. Come on, I
No,
got hot sauce in my. I got some.
yeah, it was an insult. And
It wasn't in.
when Biden said, "Hey, you ain't black if you ain't voting for me." Yeah, yeah, no, dude, I'm not black. I'm not voting for you.
And that's part of the I think the problem though with those populist types of podcasts
Mhm.
that are black, and I think that they try to speak to us in a way that really is offensive.
yeah, dumbing down,
Mhm.
belittling. You think so little, even if those people are mostly, cultured, they're very intelligent.
Yeah, they're very intelligent, but do they think you're intelligent? That's the question.
Mm, mm, good
Because if I
question.
don't think you're all that intelligent, I'm going to speak down to you
Hmm.
in such a way that can be perceived as insulting to me if I am fairly well versed on what's happening in the world. And I
Hmm.
think that both of them, the hot sauce gate, and if you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, is was offensive to a whole lot of black folks. And
So is
the
this
opposition just jumped on that. They jumped on that because, of course, they knew.
yeah?
They knew.
So is this something black people like hot sauce? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, we put it on our greens, we put it on our chicken, we put it on, fish, we put it on everything. We put it on our ice cream. I'm just kidding.
Okay, because look, I don't put it on any of that stuff. I
Yeah,
might
yeah.
put it on collard greens, but I'm not eating that stuff like that. So
Hot
uh,
sauce is a popular spice, I would say, in the black community. Definitely in my house. It used to be that you had what was the name? It wasn't Tabasco. It was something else. Maybe somebody will know that one that was pretty popular, I think, in the black community. But all of this really matters to the conversation because Roland does speak like he's the gatekeeper,
mhm, mhm,
like for the
yeah,
black community on
like
what
he's the head Negro in charge.
and I think he because he really understands the landscape of mass media having come through and CNN and news. I think Newsmax or News One and all. He went through that after he got let go from CNN. And so I think he has an understanding, yes. And he started his own media group or a company during COVID, during 2020, because I remember because I started watching him and
Mhm.
I watched him sort of grow and develop what he has today. But his biggest gripe is the fact that mainstream or wealthy people within the politicians do not spend their money on black media. That has
Right.
always been his thing. Now,
Mhm.
Charlamagne the God gets a whole lot of money,
Yes.
and to that end, because he gets a whole lot of money from a white benefactor, I'm going to say, what
Probably Jewish.
oh, there you go. What he says is somewhat monitored.
Mm, you think so?
Yep.
I don't follow him. Has he ever had to come back and apologize? And I wonder what his stance would be, say, like on the Gaza and the Palestinian. Um,
Have you heard it?
I haven't heard anything because I don't follow
It
it.
would be controversial, but
Right.
he can talk about anything under the sun, especially about black folks, probably.
Yeah. As long as they're
But
putting black
there are
people down,
certain
we're okay
certain
with it.
things that he cannot talk about.
Sure.
That's not true for Roland Martin because he doesn't
Sure.
have the bank that Charlamagne has, nor the reach that Charlamagne has. So it's positive that Charlamagne has a large reach, but he can't get to the nitty gritty of our issues in such a way that that galvanizes Black movement, the movement, if you will.
Right.
I think that that irritates Roland Martin. That
And
really
look,
does, because he
if
understands what those dollars do.
Roland Martin wants to be a sellout, because look, if you take their money, and Charlamagne, he knows this, like you said, he reminds me not as bad as a Candace Owen or a
That's
Stephen
true.
Smith.
Right.
Is that guy named Stephen Smith the sports guy?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. As long as you're denigrating black people, you're okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you get paid really big. And for Roland, you either have to do what you love and forget about the money, because now you're speaking somewhat truth to power, somewhat, not totally, because he knows that there were certain things in the Democratic Party that he wouldn't talk about to after the election, and there's every cycle.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's true just about of everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody who is trying to make it in the media, who's
Mhm.
trying to be a politician, all of that.
Mhm.
They know when to step out. I watched Stephen A. Smith, who ESPN just said bye bye. He's no longer on that lineup for one of their main shows. He was ousted, I think last week. Last
Oh,
week.
really? I haven't heard that.
Because Stephen A. Smith is a big mouth and he pisses people off, but he
Yeah.
pisses black people off. He
Mhm.
doesn't really piss other people off.
Right,
So he has
right.
become that symbol of making sure Massa happy.
Yeah.
So and Stephen,
Well, when did he decide? Only time he's really is he pissing them off because of sports, or is he? Why is he diving into politics?
I don't know why he's diving into politics, except there is, I guess I started really listening to him after he made a comment on Shador during during the draft.
Mhm.
And he didn't say anything, said absolutely nothing with that platform until Donald Trump said something, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Donald said, "Well, why y'all doing the man that way? This isn't right."
Mhm.
Said something just benign. This isn't right, not fair. And then all of a sudden, Stephen A. Smith has a
Change his
voice.
narrative.
He has an opinion on what's happening, and it got louder than anybody else. And I was like, he is grifting like major. And for whatever reason, he has aligned himself and and got permission from Donald Trump's one line, because the audience of ESPN likely is largely white. It's largely white male,
Sure.
non-college graduate, all of that stuff.
Sure.
And he wants to appeal to that group, but it hasn't really worked for him because they let his, I know you would say they let his ass go, but he
Yeah.
let his behind go last.
I don't understand. You can't, in order to appeal, do you have to put us down?
Yes, they do.
Why? Why?
To the white group that they need to appeal to, the Tamaga, they have to do that. They have to make sure that it looks like they are following the playbook. And,
Okay.
it's really, I mean, look how Stephen A. Smith went after Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
Why?
And the fact is, when these things happen, we have to stay on cold and keep these people in line. And when they start going after us, we all have to start going after them as well.
Well, that's true. And Charlamagne,
to say no, sir, you cannot go after us. Now, I don't care whatever you need to do to get your money, to make your living, all that BS you're doing, because he's somebody else. I probably only seen 1 or 2 episodes when my niece was here. I'm not that big into any of that other sports. I'm definitely not looking at a sports news channel,
well, girl, let me just say to you, if you're not watching football this coming Sunday, Shador Sanders is making his real debut
Okay.
against the Raiders. And I'm going to tell you the stadium is packed. I was just listening to a podcast.
Who is the Raiders? The Boston Raiders?
No, Las Vegas, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not a real football aficionado, so to the audience, if that's wrong, just check me. Go ahead and check me. I don't mind. But I understand B. Watts, he's a sports commentator that I have started watching, a real down-to-earth brother. And he said he tried to get tickets, couldn't get tickets. He couldn't fly out of I think Louisville to get to Cleveland. Could not get it. Couldn't get it. Right.
So it's a home game.
It's a home game. It's going
he plays for Cleveland. I know that.
Ticket prices were like $5 last week. They would.
Oh wow!
At least they were contemplating whether or not they should go down to $5 to get people there, but they those tickets are going to go sky high. Shador playing, man, are you kidding me? I'm watching it, the TV, and he's in. I guess the point is. I'm going to go back to Stephen A. Smith, and then I'm going to try to get back to Charlamagne and to Roland Martin.
And see what they say. But look, Charlamagne don't pretend to be a policy expert, right?
He's just what is he? I don't really watch Charlamagne. I may have watched him once or twice, but not.
I mean,
really.
they talk about cultural stuff, right?
It is that.
And he speaks from that lane, and every now and then, I think what he was talking about was the when the shutdown, and he agreed that the 5 Democrats did the right thing to open back up the government, right? That's his opinion, and Roland got, that shit crazy over it. I can see
Roland
I didn't hear Charlamagne critique of it, but you see him sitting there with his little chubby fat self, no naked, smoke's coming out everywhere. And
are you saying that, or did Charlamagne say that? Who said that?
Well,
are you saying
that's me. That's me describing it. I'm just going off what Roland Martin said. I don't give a damn if you talk about I'm fat.
He did say that.
I have no neck, and I have that, and I chuckled a little when he said that, and I was like, "Well, dude, you don't." But I mean, it is what it is, and you shouldn't have really went in on him because he's speaking in his lane, in his understanding, and in his role to his people. And guess what?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. That's okay, right?
That is
Roland wants us to all be up here. You can't talk to these people above their head and they're not understanding what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point then? Because the audience that Charlamagne have, they probably would never look at Roland Martin from beginning to end. If he's talking about one particular thing they might want to listen to, from beginning to end, he's not going to hold their interest.
He's really not, because if we only listen to the voices, just one voice that's approved by the establishment,
sure,
they then control the conversation, not really us. Mm-hmm. And that's how people stay in the dark. But that's how we also do not have a voice with our young people. Young people listen to Charlamagne the God.
Yeah. He has a whole, I think, I'm not going to estimate, but it's millions of followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Way more than Roland.
Yeah.
And when Roland, at some point throughout his career, even though it wasn't the whole truth, it wasn't the best for us, he was pushing the narrative that the Democratic Party was pushing because he needed them to support his platform.
That's correct.
They were advertising, they want him to push this, and he did that.
Right.
So, Charlamagne
there's no Yeah, there's no real difference between the two.
Right, right.
Right.
But
In
some
terms
kind
of
of way,
their
Roland thinks
motivation.
everybody needs his permission to talk to their audience.
Yeah. He
And
absolutely.
that's the problem because did you hear so I was gone. I really didn't look at any news, any I would get on Facebook a little in the evening, right
Mm-hmm.
before bed or something. But no news, no YouTube. But yesterday when I was at the airport, he got mad at who's the guy? They had a they had something going on in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Fidel, the singer, and he said he didn't. He
Oh,
believed
Pharrell, yes.
Pharrell. Yes,
Yeah.
Did you hear what Pharrell said? And
Yep.
Roland got mad about that. I said, "Boy, are you going to be the police, the media police of everybody who say something wrong that you don't like?" And I think the guy probably just got caught up in the moment.
Yeah. Roland gets over, he does get incensed about comments that
He's
Black
getting
people
old
make.
and grumpy.
Um, he's the gatekeeper. He feels like he's the gatekeeper anyway. And
Mhm.
that's what we're dealing with. He feels as if he's the guy who has all the right answers. And you can
Mhm.
tell that too when he is has guests and he's talking to the guests and he's talking to the guests so roughly.
Mhm.
And he
Particularly when they don't agree with him.
exactly. And it's even with his usual panel, it's like
Yeah.
sometimes it gets pretty rough and it's kind of like,
And it always seems like I'm like I wonder if they get paid because they tend to
I hope so.
like they cross the line and he kicks them very hard. He don't gently push them. He kicks them
He
back in that
hits them.
inside the line. And I'm like, what the F? I would just disconnect. No, dude, I'm not going to say what you want me to say. If that's the agreement that you're there to agree with me and to push this narrative, then that's one thing. But if I'm there to have my opinion, then don't ask me to come back. But you're not going to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. I think I did something that's probably not going to be good for us unless I go search for something. But for the most part, he does. He's a little rough. But, I was talking to somebody, and it might have been you, and if being soft, and I don't really mean soft, but being non-confrontational
Mm-hmm.
is something that we need to consider at this point
Sure,
in
sure.
our
Yeah,
movement.
no.
Being confrontational rather than sitting back and allowing people to just say anything or do anything, that it may be that we need to move differently than maybe, and I think we talked about this already, than maybe our ancestors did, because for them, the whole non-confrontational, quiet protests, what have you, worked. It may not be working for us, and maybe we do need to be more in your face the
Mhm.
way that Roland is. So I'm not taking it away from Roland that he is quite in your face about stuff.
But he's in the wrong person in the wrong people face. Now, I do hear him, and I won't say maybe that's not true because I have seen him really push back against any of the opposition who comes on his platform. He do really push back, but he has to figure out a way. He have the policy down, right, and we can respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But people like Charlamagne and these other entertainers, they have the connection. They have the cultural bond. And he knows how to translate the issues so real folks understand him, but he would not be able to do what Charlemagne and even
Yeah.
these people when they're talking to, they want little screenshots. They just want little one words telling them what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to kind of like respect that. Or maybe he should try to have a meeting telling them these issues are very important. Here's how we should do this. I don't know. But to get on YouTube and say what he said and then don't expect these people to have a comeback, I don't know what world he's living in. Because he ain't their daddy, you know.
Very true.
They're gonna have a comeback. And you had a good one. They gave Charlamagne the God gave him Donkey of the Day, and you do not want that.
Ooh.
From the Breakfast Club. It is not good to be Donkey of the Day. And so when he heard he was Donkey of the Day, that's when he just lost it.
Well, he kind of was.
He walked into that. I mean, what he thought the guy was going to do.
He did, but what I think I can respect is that Roland Martin speaks to one generation of Black people,
Sure.
and Charlamagne the God speaks to another, and it's better that they align in their messaging, but understand that Charlamagne the God's audience is way bigger than even just maybe Black people. And he kind of talks to, he talks along the line that allows his funders to be happy with him. And Roland understands that because he was at CNN, for crying out loud. Sure. And everybody knows, you mentioned Joy Reid. She was at MSNBC, now MS Now.
Right.
So you know how that if you're going to get that paycheck, you are going to speak along the lines that they carve out for you, and you're not going to cross over. And the fact that she was fired is what she was getting way too close to the line where she was sometimes stepping over, and MSNBC did not like that. So she was out. Same thing with Melissa Harris Perry. Same thing with who else? You can tell. What's her name? Tiffany Cross. You can tell by what they say and how they say it, with the boldness, that they will not last long.
Right.
And you can see the difference now that they all have their own podcasts.
And I don't understand it because, like, Rachel Maddow, I guess because she's white and it comes a little different. Right. But that woman, and I actually like her.
But she is white.
She is white.
And the fashion.
And she tells some hard truth. And I mean, things that sometimes Joy couldn't have even gotten away with what she says about Trump.
That's true. But it's not about anti-whiteness. It's about anti-Blackness.
Yeah.
And we've got to keep the Black narrative over here. And we can't have the major news stations correcting the Black history that this country has put out there. So Rachel, not so much a threat. She's not really talking about us, is she? That's the difference. That's the difference. She can talk all about Hitler, and she can talk all about, the fascism in the United States, and she can talk about, I don't know, all the presidents, but she is not going to talk to you about the origins of man and mitochondrial Eve and the civilization beginning in Africa. And when we got over here, what that was like and what happened during the Civil War and why it is that we allowed the Confederacy. She ain't going to talk about that. All right. So that to me is definitely the difference. And Charlamagne, while he does have a lot of license to talk, it is within a very controlled environment, unlike now Joy. Too bad Melissa Harris Perry isn't doing it anymore. But and the other.
What is she doing?
She's probably a professor at some college, but I really don't know. But that would be my guess with her depth of knowledge.
Yeah.
She's probably doing that. But we need to embrace both Charlamagne the God, and Roland Martin, and Joy Reid, and Tiffany Cross, and we.
Angela Rye, because a couple of weeks ago, Angela Rye, Native Land, they got in the beef with another group that I hadn't heard either. Joe Rogan, I believe it's
Oh
his
my
name.
God! Yeah, Joe Rogan is.
And see, even them, they have a huge crowd. They have a huge
Millions. Joe Rogan was the number one podcaster, let's say about a year ago. He has been, that position has been usurped by Midas Touch. But I think another person has come in to take that spot, and that's been Candace Owens.
Wait. Is this guy Joe Rogan? Is a group of guys? They're black. Are we talking about the same?
No, we're not. Joe Rogan, that's different than.
Okay, so maybe I got it wrong. But
Joe Rogan is white, so.
Okay, yeah, no, this is a black podcast, but they have a huge audience, and Lamont Hill is on there now, and he's so different than the crew that they have.
I don't know them.
Yeah, well, that was a beef a couple of weeks ago. So I said, wow, these YouTube beefs going on in these YouTube streets. So yeah, that one was interesting. Yeah, even Native Land. I'm like, look, guys, y'all got to stop being so arrogant, because they're talking to their audience. Their audience isn't going to cross over to Native Land. Now, I like Native Land, of course, and I looked at a few of his, but it's 3 guys or 4 guys, and they're all over the place.
So. Okay, I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure who. I do know Lamont though. Yeah, because I do listen to him.
And he's the intellect on that show, but it is not like he's really bringing a certain group of people, because apparently he got like, I don't want to say it, but 20 million
followers,
subscribers. Yeah,
Lamont Hill.
Not Lamont Hill, the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
I would be surprised, but that's definitely a lot. But the good thing is people on the left are really getting into the podcasting field, because that's a big place where we lost a lot in the last election. We on the left. So, but it's not just about intellectual, it's also about cultural. And Lamont is smart to kind of go and join forces with these guys, because they don't have, having both on the same show makes sense.
Right.
So, but that's where the tension is between Charlamagne and Roland.
Roland. Maybe and they've always had a little something. And
maybe the answer is they come together.
I know, and I would like to say I hope it isn't a little, territory or jealousy, and honestly, a bit of ego-driven on Roland's part.
Yeah, but we need.
He would love to have the audience that listened to Charlamagne to be funneled to him, but that's just not going to happen. Well, and Charlamagne don't want Roland's audience.
Yeah, but we need both, right?
Sure.
So the policy insiders and the cultural translators, put them on the same show and let's go at it. That to me would make more sense. But then egos get in the way.
Sure. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to head north. Some people going to come from the west, some people going to come from the east, and it's okay, as long as we all going north.
Yeah.
And with that said, let's go into our second.
Before we go into that, we could do a commercial. Do you want to do commercials? I didn't do any commercials last time, but I did lose. I did lose the commercial. I'm going to go.
Give a gift. season, give a gift that's as sweet as it is meaningful. From the Seedful Kids After School Garden Program in Tampa comes local honey inspired by young gardeners and the gardens they grow. Our 3rd and 4th graders learn math, science, and teamwork while exploring nature. Favorites like chocolate honey, Madagascar vanilla bean, cinnamon, and orange blossom are among 24 unique blends that customers can't stop talking about. Each one raw, natural, and locally sourced. When you buy Seafood Kids Honey, your purchase supports a local nonprofit organization that helps students. So this Christmas season, shop local and support young minds blossoming in our Tampa gardens. Order at www.cbexchange.org. The link will also be in our description.
Hey.
We got to remember to put the link in the description. But hey, audience, I believe that would be a nice stocking stuffer for your mother, your grandparents, just about anybody who likes honey.
I would agree with that. It is part of my plan.
I have a girlfriend that likes honey, and that's going to be my stocking stuffer.
Definitely mine. But you know what? What we did not do. Did you see where we have our comments are showing up, right?
Yeah, I don't see them. You said, oh, but I can't see them anyway, and I'm sure they're too small for me to see.
They're going to be they are going to be too small. Let me make sure. There we go. No. Let's see if I can get that to happen. All right, y'all. We're still trying to figure out. So Kevin Maurice Beckham says Joe Budden. Wasn't Joe Rogan. It was Joe Budden that you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
So thank you so much.
So you have to check him out.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got to remember to keep looking at the comments. But so we're transitioning to another subject now.
Yeah, and it's something. So last Friday, of course, I left to go out of town, and when I put my phone on the charge, I had all these text messages about the I don't know. Do you call it a killing, murder, or what? I don't know. But transparent, devastating.
Let's call it right now a shooting.
A shooting. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Transparency, double standard, and community trust. That is what we're gonna call this next segment.
Do you want to play the video?
Yes, you play.
All right. So give me a moment because for some reason I kicked myself out of the video, and once I bring it in, video. Sorry about that. Actually, I'm going to share the screen. Hopefully I'm going to pull in the right one.
I thought I saw it loaded up.
You did. Do you see it?
Yes.
All right, let's make sure we got sound. It was loaded, but for some reason, everything got kicked out.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm having to go from scratch on the loading now. I couldn't hear her just now. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. Oh, right here. Duh. All right, here we go.
Listen to this. A road rage shooting in Ybor City just 1 week after a driver slammed into a busy restaurant, killing 4 people. Well, Tampa police are telling us that the shooting Friday night happened just after 7 o'clock near 5th Avenue and 22nd Street. This is right by the Columbia restaurant. Officers tell us that the drivers got into an argument. A man was shot and taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, the shooter told police he fired in self-defense. And investigators say there is no threat to the community as they work to sort out exactly what happened. Listen to this.
Wow, 7 o'clock. That's kind of early. So we could assume that they probably was not on a Friday at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize the time that they probably wasn't really drunk, but I know the shooter, if he was in the area, he probably was getting ready to go to work. He's a DJ.
You mean who was getting ready to go to work?
The one who got shot.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was 7. I thought it probably would have been later in the evening or early Saturday morning.
They called it, it wasn't road rage, it was road something they were calling it, but they didn't call it rage. So they're being very, very cagey about how they describe what actually happened. So bring it home for us.
Well, okay. There was a shooting in our community. A man is dead, and it's going on a week, right? And the police know who did it, but for some reason they don't want to release the name, and that is very concerning to the community.
Very much so. I've seen several Facebook posts, but I've also seen a few news coverage of the community coming and speaking out and making demands on sort of making comparisons on how they're treating this against others. But, look, the community isn't panicking like the shooter is on the loose. We're just not. But we're just, so right now people feel safe. So this isn't a safety question at all. It's a transparency issue. And that is how the community is approaching this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have to, just from history in the Black community, when the police are silent this long, when they know who the shooter is, folks are starting to ask, why the delay? And, naturally we're going to be assuming, because we have nothing left to do but assume and start playing detective ourselves, that it's a cover up, right?
I feel like you're right. We're playing. We're reduced to trying to solve it and figure it out ourselves, and that to me is one of the worst things that you can do, is not have enough information out there. But the question is why? Why is there no information out there? So from what I hear, the biggest rumor circulating, and to be absolutely clear, these are community reports, not confirmed facts. I just need you to hear that out. Is that the shooter may be an off-duty officer, but I did hear something today that it was confirmed that it was not an off-duty officer. The fact that we're jumping to those conclusions and they're just putting information out piece by piece, trying to answer to keep us calm, is very telling. Mm-hmm. Just release the names. I was like, I want to say release the files, release the name. Who was it? What happened?
But I listen to what they don't say. They said the shooter was not an off-duty or a on-duty Tampa police. What if he's an officer from another district, jurisdiction?
Excuse me.
Because what other reason would they be trying to protect the shooter?
I don't know. So that's the danger of it. The fact that, I'm sorry, I'm drinking ginger in my tea and went down the wrong pipe. But the fact that they're being so secretive is why we jump to those conclusions, given the history of policing and Black bodies in this country, and how quick they are to assume that we are angry when we are not. Mm-hmm. And from what I hear of this young man, he's called something Shy Guy. Forgot his first name, but the fact that Shy Guy is in his name tells you this is probably someone who likely can keep his cool and doesn't really get into people's faces. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of patience.
To fly off the handle like that. Now, So I naturally thought it was later. Maybe alcohol could have been involved, but
Mhm.
7 o'clock. This guy, in my opinion, in Ybor City, probably was getting ready to go to work.
Could have been.
So what could have made the other, the shooter, so aggravated or so threatening that he felt he needed to stand his ground? And this is what the community wants, and particularly because I've heard black and white on Facebook say what a nice guy. I didn't know the young man, but Jeanette, I'm sure you know his uncle,
Ooh.
um, Larry Sky.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the construction over, I think, school board.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I know his uncle,
Oh, you said Sky, but it's Sykes.
Sykes.
Yeah.
Sykes, yes.
That
So
is just really yeah, this one is a tough one because right now we're all being relatively quiet. I did see a picture of Naya out there talking on. She was on the streets talking to, I guess, the police. So she's been present in this this investigation, if you will. At least from a community standpoint, she is representing.
so was that on the day it happened?
I can't say when it was, but it was at night. So I'm going to assume that, but I don't know.
And look, that is good. That's her district, as she should be called and informed. But what we also, I believe, when we drop the ball, because we have um, our three at large,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to be out there, and they have to demand
That's true.
some answers to the community because they work for us. And if
That's
the
true.
community is asking for answers, it doesn't take this long because, I mean, look, if the dude say he's standing his ground, you're supposed to tell us what happened, depending on, because now, like we say, we're getting all these speculation, and I don't understand how 7 o'clock in Ybor City, you trying to say it was no one around to video what happened, or
Mhm.
no cameras around there, because some people saying that the shooter shot the guy while he was in his car. Now I don't know if that's true
I
or
do
not,
not.
but if that is true, that is not stand your ground because you had the opportunity to walk away.
Mm-hmm. I do not know
And
any
you
of
don't
the
have to get out your
details.
car and come over. You're escalating this thing. And I'm saying it better not be a cop because cops are trained to de escalate. So it cannot be a cop talking about standing his ground
But
because,
how does the shooting happen with no witnesses?
yeah, it can't be. It just can't be. They have to have some witness.
He can't have been there by himself. Or, I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
just
if
saying,
he's a DJ, he could.
right. But I'm just saying that was it just two guys in a parking lot? What and what did it have to do with this? Wasn't road rage, I know, but they called it something. I can't remember what it is, but what, yeah, I'm asking what could possibly have happened here,
What did
and
the
why is the investigation taking so long to answer the question so that we are not speculating? That is what I've seen people that have been interviewed, Black folks who are very concerned. They're just asking the simple questions. Be transparent.
yeah?
Tell us.
And what did the news lady call it?
She called it road something. I don't remember.
Let's play it
Because
again
I keep saying road rage.
because that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, you said let's play it again, but I already shot it. I
Oh,
took
you
it out.
shot it down. Okay, no worries.
Wait. No. I can do it. I can do it. You're challenging me tonight for sure. Well, actually, this program is challenging me. Share the screen. Hopefully, yeah, this is it.
Listen to this. A road rage shooting in Ybor City just one week
stop.
after a driver slammed
She
into a
said
busy
road
restaurant,
rage.
killing 4 people. Well, Tampa police are telling us that the shooting Friday night happened just after 7 o'clock near 5th Avenue and 22nd Street. This is right by the Columbia restaurant. Officers tell us that the drivers got into an argument. A man was shot and taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, the shooter told police he fired in self-defense, and investigators say there is no threat to the community as they work to sort out exactly what happened.
So
Well, it's right there, road rage.
She called it a road rage. And see, without witnesses, how can you say it wasn't self-defense? If he's the last man standing, he could say whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how they could say anything really. But
And
right now they've got one story, and that's his. He's the last man standing, like you said. One story.
And if it was by the Columbia restaurant, they're saying by the Columbia restaurant, it got to be cameras.
Okay, so Kevin says all of council was out there at Bradley's, which is the bar, after the car crash. Let me do that. Can you see it? After the car crash.
Because it was safe to be there. You got a young black or brown kid. Now, you know.
All right. He also says no witnesses at 7 p.m. in Ybor. The math ain't mathing. That's also Kevin.
Yeah, it ain't mathing, Kevin. It's no. So it is. It's going to be hard to push this as a stand your ground and with no charges. And even if they, go to trial, I don't know. This is unfortunate.
It is. When Black people say stand your ground, that seems to mean something different than when white people say stand your ground.
I remember Keela put something out on Facebook, the right and white way to do it. So it is something, but I pulled up something chapter.
Interesting. That was very clever. The right and white way of doing things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So chapter 776
Mm-hmm.
under the Florida stand your ground law, a person has no duty to retreat and may use or threaten deadly force if they reasonably believe it's necessary and are in a place they have a legal right to be. Now, where I have a problem with that statute, I don't have a problem with that statute, but we go back to right and white, because isn't that what Elvis Pickett did a couple of weeks ago? He didn't kill anyone, but they didn't immediately bring charges, but I think it was a few days later they brought charges against him.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they did. So the inconsistencies are certainly there. That's a very good point that you make to bring up that particular case with this one.
Because everybody's talking about it on Facebook. I get back in town, so I'm just really catching up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so where now that happened Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I got back in yesterday, Wednesday. Elvis happened on a Thursday, I believe. And they brought charges against him that Monday. Very quickly.
Okay. And that's what happened with Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
And this one here, we still don't know the name of the person.
We don't know the name of the person.
Do we know anything about the person? Anything?
No. I'm assuming he's white. I'd be very surprised if he's not.
You're making a lot of assumptions tonight.
But that's what everybody's doing, because they're not telling you anything. And we can't do anything but assume. Generally, when they hold their names, we already know. That's the first thing we say as a group, as a culture, as a community. Well, we already knew who it was. Once they start posting everything about us, our pictures and everything, about where you went to kindergarten, okay?
Yeah.
we know what happened, and that's just been the way it has been going. It's been working, and
Well,
and it's unfortunate.
yeah, it is unfortunate. But one thing about the law is that it doesn't say that authorities must release the shooter's name publicly just because stand your law is um, stand your ground, excuse me, is invoked. What it does is set the legal standard for when deadly force may be justified. It does not guarantee public disclosure. Um,
Oh, why not?
that's
So
like
you're trying to tell me the victim family, they won't know who killed their loved one?
that's up to, it's discretionary. It's up to them to decide the
It's up to
circumstances.
who?
Law enforcement, I guess, to
You
decide.
gotta be kidding me. So I'm not gonna know who killed my child?
I'm certainly not kidding you. I'm
Mm.
not kidding you. So, um, so I don't know, but that the law doesn't say they have to tell you because
Uh,
they're investigating. They're investigating it.
so they don't have to tell us immediately, but eventually they will release the name, the person, correct?
Well, they're going to have to, but it's kind of like I call it the white stalling tactic.
Hmm.
White stalling tactic, and they use it all the time. We're even using it
Sure,
with these Epstein files, the
sure.
white stalling tactics, which gives me time to clean up, to do
Hmm.
whatever it is that I need to do, so that when
Hmm.
I do have to release something, it is sanitized enough, or I have my story well crafted enough that I have a position to stand on, or what have you. So I'm seeing the same thing here. I
Hmm.
think that
Yes,
that's me.
because they always give them room to get things in order, get prepared. Um, I'm assuming that they already know that it really wasn't a stand your ground. Because if it was, it would be no
Yeah,
problem to come out. So I'm
yeah,
assuming they already know this guy was in the wrong. That's what I'm saying.
could be, could
Mhm.
very well be, because it is taking a while.
And
Sure.
they're giving him time to get things together, family prepared, or whatever. Because yeah, it is going to be.
Mm.
It,
They're
I can
taking
almost look at it as
McDonald's. They're taking
Trayvon Martin.
McDonald's. They're doing whatever. There's a different way that white people, let's assume that he is white, um, get treated when they have done something wrong, especially
Mm,
to a black person. They get treated very differently in the whole arrest scenario. But I don't know.
mhm, mhm. That's crazy because see, when the community says, "Well, if it's stand your ground, if it's stand your ground, then why not?" And if they, I don't see them not being able to clear him quickly.
Yeah,
Aren't they getting a name?
something's
They,
up, like you
they
said.
yes, they're giving them room to get things in place. But we don't see the same standard being applied across the board. Because if that was reversed, if the brother would have killed the shooter,
Hmm.
if it was reversed, he probably would already be in jail.
He would be in jail, because you just look at last month, and there was no
Yeah.
shooting there, right?
Really? Yes.
Just look at last month, when, let's just go, we know it's Elvis, but a black man, right,
Hmm. Hmm.
pulls out his gun in self-defense. He doesn't fire it.
Right.
He
He
just
doesn't even point it at the guy. He
well
doesn't even
he
point the
just
gun.
he just gets into the I'm standing my ground.
He just acknowledged, like, look at your brother, you need to back up. You're threatening me.
Yeah,
And it
and
worked. The guy,
allegedly this is the story that we all understand, understanding that we were not there,
no, that's not allegedly.
understanding that we were not there.
We don't have to be there. Keela was there.
Okay, so
She
still
has no reason to lie.
I got it, but we were not there.
But I know. Okay, I'm gonna let you have that one.
Thank you. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
So I would just say that they're just not applying the same rules across the board. And we have this as an example. And even on this one, somebody actually died, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
makes it just even more egregious. And yet we know nothing. We know absolutely nothing on this one. And members of the community, judging from some of the Facebook posts that I've seen, are very upset with the way this is going down.
Hmm.
They're very upset.
And it further puts a divide between, the police department, um, the mayor, and our community.
Mhm.
And we was talking about this because actually, it was all on Instagram. My daughter was with me over the weekend, and she was, and I was telling her, her and her boyfriend, sometimes, although I believe the DJ was 41, so he's a little mature. It is okay sometimes. You got to know when to just walk away or just say, okay, buddy, sorry. Because I can't imagine what he could have done so.
That calls for somebody to pull out a gun and yeah.
And why argue? Because he didn't have a gun, obviously.
Well, that's another part of it. Did he have a gun or not? But my guess is he did not have a gun. That's what I am saying. I am speculating once again that the brother did not have the gun, but the white guy did.
And just to think about it, he's a DJ walking. He does a lot of DJing in Ybor City, so he might have had a gun.
I was going to say, given
No,
those,
he might have had a gun. It would be,
given what you're saying, it's like maybe
I just assume that me assuming again, but yeah, he might have had a gun.
Yeah, I was going to say, given those circumstances, he might have been carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to say on this one except community response. The community needs to really stay engaged on this one. They need to continue making the demands and not allow them to sort of cover this. And I think that has been the pattern for the white community in the past, especially when a Black body is involved.
Mm-hmm. So, if they could throw our name in the public records in 48 hours, as they did with Elvis, news media unstoppable. I mean, that's all they were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they could do the same thing. And I'm not saying that they didn't do this with this case because, like I said, I wasn't here, but I had a hard time even finding the video you shared. Actually, I went to Elvis' page and got it.
Mm-hmm. I saw.
They could do the same for someone else, badge or no badge. If the law, and that is some of the things that makes me mad with the Democrat Party. And I'm talking about the white establishment Democrat Party. Why I have an issue with them, right? Because we live in a city, even though this is a red state, we live in a city that is particularly ran by all Democrats. And we're still getting the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what's making a lot of people upset. Yeah.
Because I think one of the things in this iteration of America, the one that we are currently in,
Mm-hmm.
the one that we left, the one that we're currently in, and the question is, where are we going?
Right.
But we have to realize that we are Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost. And regardless of party, there is still in this country, an anti-Black sentiment, especially as we advance. Every time we advance, we get a whole lot of backlash. That backlash isn't just coming from one party. It really is coming from, I talk to people who vote Democrat, and some of the things that they say sometimes, it's kind of like, really?
Sure.
Really? And these are people that I know. It's like, you just really said that?
Yeah.
because
And I would wonder if we wouldn't fare better, really, under a Republican red
no,
stimulus. No,
no.
I'm talking about a regular Republican, not the MAGA Republican. Why not? Because how has it helped?
Well, I'm convinced that the two-party system does not work. I'm convinced that the Constitution needs to be reevaluated, looked at. I'm convinced that the America that we have experienced for the last 250 years, I'm going to say, is has not been a democracy in reality ever.
Mhm.
It could be, but only if we as Black Americans understand that we have a role to play in what that new democracy would look like. But if we sit back and
But haven't we been playing um, the role? Are you saying we need to change it now?
I think we need to change it up.
Okay,
We need to decide that the white man's water is not colder,
sure, sure.
or his ice, rather. The white man's ice is not colder.
Or
That
we have to
I'm not
move,
getting my ice from the Black
or
brother.
we have to, or we have to remove the potential gatekeepers or people who could be bought to push a certain narrative.
But that's part of
That-
the
That's the problem I think we have.
that's part of the reason why there really has been no democracy, because they put systems and people and positions in place to keep the Black man down. How do we, after 400 years, slavery included, how do we still have the Black man at the bottom of everything? And not just in this country, around the world. How is that possible, except for a very concerted effort by white America and white Europe to make sure that Black people stay on the bottom?
Mhm.
It's we have to wake up to that, and we have to act with that knowledge. But too many of us do not have that understanding.
Even under a Democratic led, and when you look at anywhere, Chicago, Detroit, it really doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat, in my opinion. When we're
That is what I'm saying.
mhm,
And that is generally what I'm saying. It is designed to
yes,
keep white men on top,
mhm,
Black men on the bottom, and all of that in between are fighting to get closer to the white man on top and as far away from the Black man on the bottom as possible. That is how the country has been running since inception. How do I get away from being with those Black folks?
yes.
And
It's the playbook for white America, irregardless whether you have an R or D
that's
behind
correct.
your name.
That is
Absolutely.
correct. That is
Absolutely.
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So, Martin Luther King, what he said, the whole silence and complacency of the liberal on the left
Sure.
is probably worse than
It's worse than
what
absolutely.
we're seeing on the right with regard to the racism.
Yes.
So neither works for us. And we have to decide, yes, there are different approaches, but it's the same end. White man ends up on the top and the Black man ends up on the bottom, pacified by the gatekeepers who will make sure that you're not gonna mess with massa up there. No.
Yeah.
You get to be an entertainer and you get to be a sports person, but you don't get to be a scientist and you don't get to be a golfer. You don't, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It
Always running interference.
it has played itself out completely.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that we're at the end of the road of this pseudo or fake or faux democracy. And now it's time for us to act, because we have everything we need to do so. And if we prevail, everybody wins.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that And this is what they don't know. They think that if we prevail, they lose. But that
Right.
has never been in our psyche, even before we reach these shores. That is not where we come from as a people. We are the opposite of what they do. They're into wars. And what are we
Right,
trying
right.
to do now? Right now, we're trying to get into some wars. We're bombing boats,
Always.
Venezuelan boats. It's always about war. It's that whole military industrial complex that Martin Luther King warned us about. And that is what that is how America became the superpower after, what is it, World War II. We were the ones making the weapons and what have you, and we became the I'm just going to say the HNIC, the HCIC, the head country in charge. But it's if we just stop and pay attention, their ice is not colder. Ours is as cold. We just have to stand up, stop bending over, and just stand up. Topple. We are enough. That's it. We
Sure.
are enough. And when things like this happens and they conceal information to get their stories, get the narrative straight, like this shooting, when we know that they're doing that, we have to just stand up for each other. When you've got two very talented men, Roland Martin and Charlamagne the God, fighting at each other, all we have to do is stand up together, right? Because we are enough.
So what do you think about, because as I was preparing for the show, like I said, I had to go to Elvis' page and get the video, and I saw he did a press conference. But why don't we show up? I really haven't seen. Do you think our politicians, and they're all up for re-election, all of the um, people who's running for mayor or any position? I've seen Quentin Robinson, because he's, I guess I could see his because he is my friend on Facebook. Um, speak out against this. What you can't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, like you shouldn't nothing happen or any pushback be, because the community at a minimum deserve updates. You
Right.
think?
There's no spokesperson for to speak for us, to say to us, okay, I need you guys here at this moment, blah blah blah. Back to my Malcolm X.
I love it. Yeah,
We
I like
don't
that analogy. Yes,
we don't have that.
Connie Burton. Connie Burton has been speaking on it.
Okay, but is Connie Burton the Malcolm X? Is Elvis the Malcolm X?
No, apparently not, because
wait, I can go on. Is Gwen Myers the Malcolm X? Is Mayor Young the Malcolm X? Is any of the politicians or the community leaders the Malcolm X? And why can't we galvanize where we give somebody that much power? That's a lot of power.
I mean,
go ahead.
If I guess it was Elvis, because I keep using him because that's who I saw. Ask the people to come out.
They're not coming.
I don't know. Why?
Okay, so I was saying that's your question, and I'm answering.
Yes, that's my question.
I'm giving you the answer.
This right here, you can't be afraid to show up for this. Basically, we're asking for an update. Not necessarily everything, but a timeline. A transparent explanation of how this case is being handled and what happened. A clear stand your ground explanation, right?
I understand, but
Because when this does not happen, it is leaving the community divided, and the standards, and we're saying that the standards are not the same, because, and I forgot, I was going to put this in Chat GPT to ask what was the protocol, how long does something like this take?
Mhm.
Because you know what that's going to remind me more of?
What?
Almost Trayvon Martin situation and George Zimmerman.
Mm-hmm.
This is where this is going to go.
Right. So how did Trayvon Martin's situation get such national attention?
I think because it was videoed. See, and they showed the video, but he said he was afraid, and it was self-defense.
Right.
And you have a grown-ass man afraid of what, a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah. And I think
Even when the police told him to stand down, do not follow, and do not do any of this, and
right.
they went the trial, and
I recall.
Yeah.
But the key and one of the best inventions for the Black man was um, these home cameras that that if you're walking down the street,
mhm,
probably each house is capturing you walking down the street, but also your cell phone, your with the camera. One of the best things that could have happened to the Black community was that technology, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
in this case, and if they were in a parking lot, then I would say, where's the camera, right? Surely, maybe there was a camera somewhere. But if there is no camera, right, I'm likely not going to be moved emotionally if
yeah,
because I don't see it.
yes, not a visual. Yes.
Right. That's the problem.
Mhm.
That's the problem, and I think that's why we were able to move
Absolutely.
with Trayvon Martin and
Mhm.
George Floyd. The camera was telling us,
Yeah.
and that's
Told
how
the
it
story.
galvanized.
Yeah.
But there was no camera here.
Yeah.
But there
But
was no
even
camera.
but
But there
look,
was no camera from Malcolm X either. And I want to go back to that whole. How do you find leaders that can get that kind of respect or garner that kind of respect from the Black community? And that's
I
that.
don't know.
He probably didn't have all, but he had enough
Yeah,
that
enough.
that it demonstrated to and what he had was his men, his soldiers. And then you could see even in the movie that there was just community members out there too, just
But now
put up.
the difference between Malcolm and his people was the Muslims.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of organize before the problem happens.
Yeah. So it was his group. Now I don't understand Black pastors
Interesting.
really are organizing, doing something. Like somebody have to be able to say when a call is put out that we show up.
Yeah.
Elvis shouldn't be asking for a press conference and it's not 100 people.
Yeah.
Easily, just in Ybor City, just in District 5, it could easily be 100 people, because
But the
I'm sure it was in.
Yeah. But he needed to have if he wants to be that person, he's got to work on that ahead of time, because this is not going to be the only time, and this is not going to be the only issue. He needs to, and I'm not just talking about Elvis. I'm just talking about anyone. That leader out there needs to work on, and that's true of the politicians. You
Well,
can't
he
go.
might not be the favor of the oppressors. He might not be the favor of the colonizer, but
He's not.
Nobody else is stepping up. So I don't give a goddamn who's the leader. Just
But
somebody
here's
do it and we follow them. But I understand that Black people will say, "Oh, I'm not going to listen to him." Well,
yeah,
obviously you're not listening to Connie. You're not listening to anybody.
that's correct.
So who do you want? You do it. I don't care who do it. Somebody just have to be able to do
But they're
it.
not going to do it. That's
Right.
the thing.
But they can always say who they're not going to listen to, but they're not going to pick up the torch.
So it's not going to happen because our politicians are following whatever rules and agendas or protocols they need to follow, and so they're not going to step out.
Well, you think they're following some type? It's a protocol not to come out and say something. Is city council, the police probably should answer to city council. I'm not sure, but city council should be able to make a demand.
Well, according to Beckham, they all were out there. What kind of demand did they make? All of council was out.
They were all out there
after the crash. They were all out there.
But he's probably talking about the chase. Not
After
this
car crash.
No, he's talking about 2 weeks ago when the teenager,
I forgot.
the police was chasing the car.
Yep. I'm mixing the two. That's true.
Yeah. So he's talking about that. Of course they're going to be out there because that's safe.
So for this one, and thanks for getting me straight on that, but there is no one except an Elvis type right now. And an Elvis type does not have the following. Neither does Quentin. And these are guys who are willing to speak truth to power. Let's just use that as a phrase.
Sure.
Nobody's listening to these folks. And right now,
some people listen. I listen to them.
Huh?
And the younger people and whoever listen, I mean, people who want to answer.
They should be
There's no need to keep going back and forth on Facebook. If the brother called for a press conference and he say show up, to show that the community really want answers. And one reason why the police and everybody could dismiss them because they're probably saying the community doesn't even care.
That's correct.
But you know the community cares.
That's very correct. That's correct. And I think that's what we're looking at right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have the leader in place that can command that kind of respect based on his or her following. And that is also true of our politicians as well.
Mm-hmm. And even because our 3 at-large city council people should be able to come out and say something
on this one. Yes,
on this one. Yeah. And even on the last one, they should be able to say how they feel, what they feel about these high-speed chase in the city.
Yeah. Probably. And that's probably something they should be talking about in council in terms of, So I don't know. That's a perplexing one in terms of how or why we don't all show up for these types of things. I saw the press conference with Elvis, and I forget who else was also speaking.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I saw it. I didn't listen to it because I was really just looking for the video. Mm-hmm. But listen, before we close, let me say this. This community, our community, is simply tired. We're tired of the double standard. We're tired of the slow walking. And we're tired of being treated like our lives don't deserve the same urgent as everyone else.
But being tired doesn't necessarily mean being powerless. And I really hope the audience really understands that. It means that we begin pushing for policy. And I don't know that we do that enough. And yes, there are those of us, Robin Lockett, who really get out there and push for policy. But we got to get beyond emotion. understand what is happening, and from a policy standpoint, begin pushing, because that's a heavy load. It means, too, that we demand clear guidelines for when stand your ground applies and when it doesn't. That's a tough one, because for me right now, I think it almost depends on race, because the guidelines are not clear. And whoever's deciding when you could use it and when you can't, when it works and when it doesn't seems to be up to, I don't know, guidelines that make no sense to me. So it means we demand consistent timelines for releasing information to the public. And we demand accountability that looks the same, no matter who pulled the trigger. Full stop.
Do you think we could ever get there? Because the community function on
That's
trust.
Yeah.
And trust requires communication and not silence, not secrecy. And what we tend to have in these situations, selective transparent.
That's really true.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. But to, our listeners, you got to stay informed. You have to stay vocal. And by all means, stay engaged. We can't afford to check out. Not now, not ever. For the times that we're in, we have to figure out how to mobilize.
And guys, it's Thanksgiving next week or the week after next? I'm asking you, Jeanette.
What did you ask me?
I said, it's Thanksgiving next week or the week after next?
Oh my gosh. Where you been? New York or something? Having fun?
I just don't keep up with that thing. But I'm saying that to say this.
It's next week.
It's next week? Okay. So when the family get together next week, the matriarchs, we got to make sure, you guys got to make sure that everybody in your timeline that's turning 17, 18, and those that are above are registered to vote. Because that is the only way we're going to make a difference here. We're going to have to start voting, and we can't keep voting like we've been voting before. We're going to have to change the narrative, and it's enough of us to be able to do that.
I think so.
And we have to make sure it just should be a requirement that you guys sit down together, pull out the computer. You could do it on your phone as well. You go, Jeanette, can you still apply, register online?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. And make sure everybody is registered, because 2026, November 2026 will be here before we know it. And we don't need to be trying to get people registered. We need to be already having these guys registered.
Yeah, we have less than a year actually before the next election. Less than 1 year.
So it's very important. I mean, we see the next 3 years, we are going to be catching a little bit of hell. I just believe that. Some more than others.
I'm sure of it. It's going to be increased unemployment in the Black community. So that's going to be a big deal. So it's one of the reasons why we're saying save your dollars, folks. Do not go spending money as if next year is not going to be tough for the Black community. And even if you seem to have money and you're fine, not everyone in the community will be fine. So we just need to be ready to come together as a community and weather what is about to occur. And to the extent that we can come together and influence what is about to occur, let's be about that. I'm a total Malcolm X fan when it comes to galvanizing people and moving in one direction.
All right, family, we're going to see you on Sunday.
Yep.
Do we have a topic for Sunday?
I was thinking about mass incarceration. I talked about last week, there were 4 pillars that, from a Black independent standpoint, that's really important to us. We talked about reparations last week, and I really want to.
All my favorite things.
Huh?
I said all my favorite topics.
Yeah, these are your favorite topics. That's
Yes.
true. Mass incarceration is going to be the subject next week. And if we can find a guest, we'll bring somebody on.
Perfect. All right, family, stay empowered, stay alert, and keep pushing for real transparent in our community.
Absolutely. So we will see you on Sunday.